So on my last episode after day 8, I posted that I got injured, spent the night in the hospital at Butte, and then day 9, I got out of the hospital in the morning at 10 a.m. And the doctor told me that I could ride, if I wanted to. So I went to Lon that night. It was Sunday night, and I asked Lon Haldeman, who was the leader of the tour, what he thought, because I was pretty despondent about it. I thought, you know what, I just want to quit. And he said, well, what did the doctors say? And I told him, and he goes, well, just do what the doctor told you. You can ride as much as you feel like riding, and then you can ride in the van the rest of the time. So I thought, well, what the heck, I'll give it a try. So I hung in there after skipping day 9, and this is day 10, 11, and 12. We are leaving Bozeman, day 10. So I took yesterday off, did my laundry, felt okay this morning, so I thought I'd give it a whirl. Let's see what happens. Out of Bozeman, we had kind of a steady climb. It was, challenging, but it wasn't really that hard, all the way to the top of this Bozeman Pass, they call it. And most of the ride was on the freeway, and that was a little bit anxiety-ridden due to the fact that there were some narrow stretches with freeway traffic going by. That kind of freaked me out. Kind of neat going through Livingston and seeing this old railroad town, and they've really done a really good job along the railroad fixing it up. And then we climbed this bridge over the Yellowstone River, and it was neat seeing the Yellowstone River, so we're on to something. Big Timber was one of the largest exporters of wool in the country, shipping 2 million pounds in 1886 alone. Thousands of sheep could be seen covering the hills north and south of Big Timber. It all began in 1880 when 2 Irishmen drove 3,000 head of sheep here from California, starting the long history of sheep and cattle ranching in this area. Today, Big Timber honors its rich history by hosting an annual fiber festival, having a sheep herder as the Sweetgrass County High School mascot, exhibiting a bronze sheep statue on the courthouse lawn, memorializing the old wool house with a statue at the park, and depicting a sheep herder with his dog on a large merle located downtown. Big Timber. So since I was in the hospital, of course, they gave me pain meds. And now, as a result of that, I'm all stopped up. So now I've got to go and figure out how to get unstopped. I haven't gone to the number 2 in like 3 days. So I've got to do something because I'm all bloated and it's just hard to ride. So we'll see. I'm going to go over here to the Pilot truck stop and see what they got. Hopefully it'll work and get me moving again. Day 11, leaving Columbus, headed to Powell. Day 11. The Rosebud Agency from 1875 to 1884, this was the site of the Second Crow Indian Agency. In 1875, the federal government ordered that the first agency be relocated from Mission Creek east of present-day Livingston to remove the Crow people from the destructive influence of whiskey traders. Agency employees selected this place at the confluence of East Rosebud and Butcher Creeks as the site of the new agency in the spring of 1875. When completed, a stockade enclosed a square place of considerable extent, consisting of 8 large buildings, many of which were built of adobe. A residence for the agent and several log cabins and warehouses were located within the heavy plank wall. Boy, the meds I took the night before just did not help. I couldn't hardly eat or drink anything, but I did feel kind of encouraged because on day 11 I managed to get 73 miles in. I rode to the Wyoming border, and that was the lunch stop, and then I got in the truck and rode in the truck on into town. But once I got into town, I was completely thrashed. I just laid down on the bed and fell dead asleep. So I knew that I was starting to fail. I just couldn't get enough nutrients and water and that kind of stuff in me in order to be able to provide what I needed in order to be able to continue on the tour. But it was neat crossing into Wyoming and putting Montana behind me. Day 12, leaving Powell. Today's the big climb. I had a bad night. It wasn't that great, but I'm out here giving it another whirl. It seems like that's what I do every day now, is just get on the bike and see how it goes. Some days it's better than others, but anyway, I couldn't sleep very well, some back pain, on and on and on. Oh well, just get on the bike and go, see how it feels. So far so good. I love climbing, I really do. I like going straight up as steep as I can, and I've been I've ridden plenty of high, steep climbs during training, and this day was the day where I was really going to test myself to see if I could do the climbs like I normally do, and it had a big beyond category climb, and I wanted to test myself. Made it to mile 48, and it's really steep. This is a tough climb. Started, way down there in that valley where it's green. Climbed up this serpentine road. Still struggling with getting everything straightened around, and I'm going to see if they'll sag me to the top. That's the beauty of doing an organized tour. But I tried it. A little disappointed, but hey, it's only 3 days since I got out of the hospital, so I gotta accept that, do what you can and let the chips fall. I sagged up to the last sag stop with about 25 miles to go, and kind of worked my way into Sheridan, going slow and easy, taking my time. Kind of felt like this was the end of something, my ride into Sheridan. And once I got to Sheridan, I kind of made the decision that my ride was over, and I sagged the next day in Gillette. And that's kind of the end of my trip. After climbing the Bighorns and having that miserable effort going up the Bighorns, I got to the lunch stop on day 12, and I just felt horrible. It was a very, very humbling experience to get to the top and not, normally I would have been able to easily get up that climb, and I knew that my body was not getting better. If it was staying the same or getting worse every day. And the people that run the tour were encouraging. They said, listen, just ride in the van, but just the exercise of getting up in the morning, putting my bag on the van, riding in the van. They stopped to check on riders every day, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to, it would take a long time for me to get healthy. And I didn't want to do the route that way. My plan was to ride every friggin' inch of the thing. I didn't want to ride in the van half the time and bike half the time. So I was pretty disappointed in that. That's just not the way I wanted to do the tour. Second thing is, my back was bothering me to the point where it was just painful to clip in and clip out. I could spin okay, but if I tried to put any power at all into the pedals, I just didn't have any energy. And then my hydration and nutrition were all goofed up. I hadn't eaten for almost 4 days. I needed to get to a place where I could just kind of lay there and kind of hang out or sit around for 3 or 4 days until I could get back in balance. The third thing that was bothering me is psychologically, I was kind of freaked out every time trucks went by. So I ended up just, kind of tensing up when trucks went by. And I thought after a day, once I got on the bike, on day 10 that I could be able to, that would subside, but it actually got worse as the riding went on. So we would be in narrow, confined roads with traffic. And ordinarily that wouldn't bother me that much, but it was kind of freaking me out psychologically. So I needed a psychological break. Ended up going to Gillette, putting my bike, taking it to the shop. They're mailing it home, and flew home. So I'm home now, trying to recover, just laying around, and I'm sure in 3 or 4 days I'll feel a lot better. But I'm happy with the decision I made, coming home and taking care of myself. So I want to thank all my subscribers. I feel like I let you guys down. You wanted to see what it was like, and I was excited to show it to you. So anyway, this is kind of the last video of my trip across the country. A little disappointing, tearful decision to make to come home, but I'm home now and feeling better.